Research in Second Life. A second interview with Professor Lawrence J. Mullen, Ph.D., Professor of Communication Studies at the Hank Greenspan School of Journalism and Media Studies at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Welcome once more to your Second Life, Part 3 of the three-part education film series for the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. As stated in the previous video, Dr. Mullen has taught experimental courses on massively multiplayer online games. He is a leading explorer on the phenomenon of visual communications and has done extensive research in Second Life. Why do virtual world research?
So why are we here? Why are we doing virtual world research? Well, first of all, for me, it's just the wonder of what people are doing in here. Why are people here? What are they doing? Another aspect of it is, as I mentioned in a previous video, is my interest in visual communication. I just think that these virtual worlds are just amazingly interesting in terms of their visuality and how reality gets reconstructed in its cartoonish kind of way in these virtual worlds, and how the animations are getting increasingly more realistic. In essence, I just find these virtual worlds to be data-rich environments, and there's just so much to do in these places in terms of discovery.
Why do research in Second Life?
So why do research in Second Life? I think the reason why Second Life lends itself to research is because it's the most popular type of virtual world of its style. And by that I mean that it's a non-gaming, primarily a social medium where people are there not to level, and they're not distracted by quests and so forth. They're there to do all sorts of things, all kinds of social interaction. And so as somebody who's interested in communication, specifically media studies, the popularity of Second Life is primarily what lends itself to doing research and collecting enough data to make your research valid and reliable. You can see here we're at a recreation of a nuclear power plant laboratory, and it's not like they do actual nuclear research here or anything, but they probably do it to get an idea, get students acquainted with labs where they can possibly store information and so forth. So there's all kinds of different ways in which you can utilize Second Life to do your research.
How do you do research in virtual worlds?
Okay, there's lots of ways to do research, but I think that the best way in a virtual world is to do what's called ethnography, which is a kind of way of saying that you're involved in the virtual world. You're a kind of participant. In fact, participant observation is one of the forms of ethnography. And so you're talking with people, you are recording imagery and logging all of that stuff, keeping track of it in a systematic, organized way. One of my favorite things to do is interview people, and interview them in a fairly open manner. You can see here in this club there are lots of people, and so what I might do is simply chat with somebody and ask them if they're interested in speaking with me as an academic, as a professor who's doing research in the topic that I'm interested in. And so convincing them who I am sometimes is the most difficult, because a lot of people don't do that kind of thing in Second Life. They don't do a lot of research. A lot of people are just here to escape and have fun. And so convincing them who I am is one of the first primary things that I need to do research successfully. Right now you hear the DJ in the background. So these are actual people behind the avatar. He's talking, he's playing music. In fact, music is one of the more interesting topics that one might do research on in Second Life. There's live music. There's these kinds of clubs where DJs play music just like at clubs in reality. There's also streaming music, so there's all kinds of forms of music. It's really an emergent form, and offers some interesting opportunities for research. But just getting back to doing the interviews, people really will open up to you for the most part, and tell you what they honestly think. And all of this is done with what's called texting, or where people are typing their answers. So it's a little bit different than sitting down and just talking with somebody verbally across a table, asking the questions, the answers. It's a little more slow and deliberate. But the great thing about it is that these chat logs can be saved, can be copied and saved into a Word file, and so the data is kept true to the original collection of it. So there's no need to go back, like when you do ethnographic interviews in reality. You usually tape somebody, you have to go back and you have to transcribe them, and that can take hours and up to 20 pages worth of typing. But in Second Life, all of that is done automatically, so that's one of the great parts of doing this kind of text interviewing in Second Life. You can probably also, although I haven't tried, you can probably also do surveys, focus groups, and other forms of research in Second Life. But I think that ethnography and interviewing are probably two of the most popular. Collecting visual data for content analysis of the visual aspects is also possible, because Second Life has what's called a Snapshot Function, and the Snapshot Function takes screenshots that can be saved on your computer and collected, and you can later review them and analyze them at your leisure. So lots of interesting opportunities to explore research methodologies in these virtual worlds.
What kind of research have you done in Second Life?
Okay, you can see here we're in a place where somebody has set up a kind of virtual informational food safety place, and they might collect data about what people know about food safety. So that's what one person is doing. People do all kinds of stuff in terms of research in Second Life. What have I done? I've done a couple of studies that have been published. The most recent one was one in which I studied the visual aspects of how people, how disabled people present themselves in Second Life. So I did a study of wheelchairs, and why and how people use wheelchairs in the virtual setting. Another study I did was about virtual world stereotypes and how they compare to the stereotypes that we face in reality. One of my pet projects that is still going on is a study of how a sense of community is visually constructed in Second Life, how people come together, what are the visual characteristics of the places in which people gather, what brings them there, what keeps them there, what makes the virtual setting appealing for and attracts people to create a sense of togetherness. And so this is kind of an ongoing project that I hope to very soon get on paper and get out into publication.
What kind of research have others done in Second Life?
All right, just to summarize, people are doing all kinds of research in Second Life. Maybe even this guy who's walking right by me here. You just never know. But sociologists, anthropologists, psychologists. I've had a psychology student working on a thesis in Second Life. And of course, media studies practitioners are also in here looking at various aspects of these virtual worlds. One of the probably more popular things that people have looked at revolve around the ideas of sex and sexuality and gender bending that goes on in Second Life. A lot of males will play female avatars and vice versa. Adults playing child avatars. So a lot of kind of quirky, interesting activities that people are interested in. Why are people doing these things? On the business end, marketers have been interested in these virtual worlds because they can test products in here much cheaper than they can in the real world. They can create virtual clothing, fashion, and then they can see what people are buying because there is an economy in Second Life. People spend millions and millions of dollars on virtual products, and so marketers are exploring the possibilities of doing marketing research in Second Life. Counselors, there's a fairly wide-ranging group of counselling educators who are looking at Second Life in terms of practicing counseling. I met somebody who was doing some prison-based counseling, and I asked them, well, can't you just kind of role play in real life? One person pretends to be the prisoner, the other the counselor. She said, yeah, we can do that, but it's much more immersive in Second Life because they can build a prison and they can put the avatar behind bars, and the counselor sits opposite them while they sit in the stark jail cell, with the stark jail cell bed and all the trappings of the jail. And so it's much more real and immersive for the counselors. So all kinds of very interesting forms of research being done at different levels in business and academics, psychologically, sociologically, anthropologically, in these virtual settings.
As Dr. Mullen has previously stated, Second Life is a world unlike any other. You meet new people, party, play, do things you could never do in real life, such as flying, and so much more. You can visit real-world locations or places that could only exist in Second Life. The choice is yours. Thank you for joining Dr. Mullen and me in this Second Life. Where's the rest of my body? Why is there a flying pig farting flowers on my face?
In these virtual worlds. So that was pretty long-winded.
Dr. Mullen, I'm sorry, but nothing of what you just said recorded. Just in presentation. Dang it, what happened? Ugh. What happened? Wait, is this still recording? Shift 10. Created in 2003 by the company Linden Research Incorporated, also known as Second Lab. In this screen, oh my gosh. Some objects are free, others can be bought with Linden dollars. Shop in-world or at x3sl.com. Of course, you can see a pretty big difference in the free footwear versus the purchasable. Welcome to your second life, a presentation of Second. Oh, mother, father.